translation of Sahih Bukhari, Book 61, Virtues of the Qur'an. Volume 6, Book 61, number 502, narrated Aisha and Ibn Abbas. The Prophet remained in Mecca for 10 years, during which the Qur'an used to be revealed to him. And he stayed in Medina for 10 years. Number 503, narrated Abu Uthman, I was informed that Gabriel came to the Prophet while Salama was with him. Gabriel started talking to the Prophet, then the Prophet asked Salama, "Who is this?" She replied, "He is Dihya al-Kalbi." When Gabriel had left, Salama said, "By Allah, I did not take him for anybody other than him, that is Dihya, till I heard the sermon of the Prophet wherein he informed about the news of Gabriel." The sub-narrator asked Abu Uthman, "From whom have you heard that?" Abu Uthman said, "From Usama bin Zayd." Number 504, narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, "Every prophet was given miracles because of which people believed, but what I have been given is divine inspiration which Allah has revealed to me. So I hope that my followers will outnumber the followers of the other prophets on the day of resurrection." Number 505, narrated Anas bin Malik, Allah sent down His divine inspiration to His apostle continuously and abundantly during the period preceding his death till He took him unto Him. That was the period of the greatest part of revelation. And Allah's apostle died after that. Number 506, narrated Jundub, once the Prophet fell ill and did not offer the night prayer tahajjud prayer for a night or two. A woman, the wife of Abu Lahab, came to him and said, "O Muhammad, I do not see but that your Satan has left you." Then Allah revealed Surat Ad-Duha. By the forenoon, and by the night when it darkens or is still, your Lord has not forsaken you, nor hated you. Qur'an 93. Number 507, narrated Anas bin Malik, the Caliph Uthman ordered Zayd bin Thabit, Said bin al-Ays, Abdullah bin Zubair and Abdurrahman bin al-Harith bin Hisham to write the Qur'an in the form of a book mushafs, and said to them, "In case you disagree with Zayd bin Thabit al-Ansari regarding any dialectic Arabic utterance of the Qur'an, then write it in the dialect of Quraysh, for the Qur'an was revealed in this dialect." So they did it. Number 508, narrated Safwan bin Ya'la bin Umayyah, Ya'la used to say, "I wish I could see Allah's apostle at the time he is being inspired divinely." When the Prophet was at Al-Jirana and was shaded by a garment hanging over him and some of his companions were with him, a man perfumed with scent came and said, "O Allah's apostle, what is your opinion regarding a man who assumes ihram and puts on a cloak after perfuming his body with scent?" The Prophet waited for a while, and then the divine inspiration descended upon him. Umar pointed out to Ya'la, telling him to come. Ya'la came and pushed his head underneath the screen which was covering the Prophet, and behold, the Prophet's face was red and he kept on breathing heavily for a while, and then he was relieved. Thereupon he said, "Where is the questioner who asked me about Umrah a while ago?" The man was sought and then was brought before the Prophet, who said to him, "As regards the scent which you perfumed your body with, you must wash it off thrice, and as for your cloak, you must take it off, and then perform in your Umrah all those things which you perform in Hajj." Number 509, narrated Zayd bin Thabit, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq said, "For me, when the people of Yamama had been killed, that is, a number of the Prophet's companions who fought against Musalama, I went to him and found Umar bin al-Khattab sitting with him. Abu Bakr then said to me, Umar has come to me and said, casualties were heavy among the Qur'an of the Qur'an, that is, those who knew the Qur'an by heart on the day of the Battle of Yamama, and I am afraid that more heavy casualties may take place among the Qur'an on other battlefields, whereby a large part of the Qur'an may be lost. Therefore I suggest, you Abu Bakr, order that the Qur'an be collected." I said to Umar, "How can you do something which Allah's apostle did not do?" Umar said, "By Allah, that is a good project." Umar kept on urging me to accept his proposal till Allah opened my chest for it, and I began to realize the good in the idea which Umar had realized. Then Abu Bakr said to me, "You are a wise young man and we do not have any suspicion about you, and you used to write the divine inspiration for Allah's apostle. so you should search for the fragmentary scripts of the Qur'an and collect it in one book. By Allah, if they had ordered me to shift one of the mountains, it would not have been heavier for me than this ordering me to collect the Qur'an. Then I said to Abu Bakr, how will you do something which Allah's apostle did not do? Abu Bakr replied, by Allah, it is a good project. Abu Bakr kept on urging me to accept his idea until Allah opened my chest for what he had opened the chests of Abu Bakr and Umar. So I started looking for the Qur'an and collecting it from what was written on palm stalks, thin white stones, and also from the men who knew it by heart, till I found the last verse of Surat at-Tawbah, that is repentance with Abi Khuzama al-Ansari, and I did not find it with anybody other than him. The verse is, verily there has come unto you an apostle Muhammad from amongst yourselves. It grieves him that you should receive any injury or difficulty, till the end of Surat at-Tawbah, Qur'an 9 verse 128 to 129. Then the complete manuscript copy of the Qur'an remained with Abu Bakr till he died, then with Umar till the end of his life, and then with Hafsa, the daughter of Umar. Number 510, narrated Anas bin Malik, Hudayfa bin al-Yaman came to Uthman at the time when the people of Sham and the people of Iraq were waging war to conquer Armenia and Azerbaijan. Hudayfa was afraid of the people of Sham and Iraq differences in the recitation of the Qur'an, so he said to Uthman, O chief of the believers, save this nation before they differ about the book that is Qur'an as Jews and the Christians did before. So Uthman sent a message to Hafsa saying, send us the manuscripts of the Qur'an so that we may compile the Quranic materials in perfect copies and return the manuscripts to you. Hafsa sent it to Uthman. Uthman then ordered Zayd bin Thabit, Abdullah bin Zubair, Said bin al-As and Abdurrahman bin Harith bin Hisham to rewrite the manuscripts in perfect copies. Uthman said to the three Qurayshi men, in case you disagree with Zayd bin Thabit on any point in the Qur'an, then write it in the dialect of Quraysh. The Qur'an was revealed in their tongue. They did so, and when they had written many copies, Uthman returned the original manuscripts to Hafsa. Uthman sent to every Muslim province one copy of what they had copied, and ordered that all the other Quranic materials, whether written in fragmentary manuscripts or whole copies, be burnt. Said bin Thabit added, a verse from Surat Ahzab was missed by me when we copied the Qur'an and I used to hear Allah's apostle reciting it. So we searched for it and found it with Khuzama bin Thabit al-Ansari. That verse was, among the believers are men who have been true in their covenant with Allah. Qur'an 33 verse 23. Number 511, narrated Zayd bin Thabit, Abu Bakr sent for me and said, you used to write the divine revelations for Allah's apostle, so you should search for the Qur'an and collect it. I started searching for the Qur'an till I found the last two verses of Surat at-Tawbah with Abi Khuzama al-Ansari, and I could not find these verses with anybody other than him. They were, verily there has come unto you an apostle Muhammad from amongst yourselves. It grieves him that you should receive any injury or difficulty. Qur'an 9 verse 128 to 129. Number 512, narrated Al-Bara, there was revealed, not equal are those believers who sit at home and those who strive and fight in the cause of Allah. Qur'an 4 verse 95, the Prophet said, call Zayd for me and let him bring the board, the ink pot and the scapula bone, or the scapula bone and the ink pot. Then he said, right, not equal are those believers who sit, and at that time Amr bin Maktum, the blind man, was sitting behind the Prophet. He said, O Allah's apostle, what is your order for me as regards the above verse, as I am a blind man? So, instead of the above verse, the following verse was revealed, not equal are those believers who sit at home except those who are disabled by injury or are blind or lame, etc. And those who strive and fight in the cause of Allah. Qur'an 4 verse 95. Number 513, narrated Abdullah bin Abbas, Allah's apostle said, Gabriel recited the Qur'an to me in one way. Then I requested him to read it in another way, and continued asking him to recite it in other ways, and he recited it in several ways till he ultimately recited it in 7 different ways. Number 514, narrated Umar bin al-Khattab, I heard Hisham bin Hakim reciting Surat al-Furqan during the lifetime of Allah's Apostle, and I listened to his recitation and noticed that he recited in several different ways which Allah's Apostle had not taught me. I was about to jump over him during his prayer, but I controlled my temper, and when he had completed his prayer, I put his upper garment around his neck and seized him by it and said, "Who taught you this surah which I heard you reciting?" He replied, "Allah's Apostle taught it to me." I said, "You have told a lie, for Allah's Apostle has taught it to me in a different way from yours." So I dragged him to Allah's Apostle and said to Allah's Apostle, "I heard this person reciting Surat al-Furqan in a way which you haven't taught me." On that Allah's Apostle said, "Release him, O Umar. Recite, O Hisham." Then he recited in the same way as I heard him reciting. Then Allah's Apostle said, "It was revealed in this way," and added, "Recite, O Umar." I recited it as he had taught me. Allah's Apostle then said, "It was revealed in this way." This Qur'an has been revealed to be recited in 7 different ways, so recite of it whichever way is easier for you, or read as much of it as may be easy for you. Number 515, narrated Yusuf bin Ma'ak, while I was with Aisha, the mother of the believers, a person from Iraq came and asked, "What type of shroud is the best?" Aisha said, "May Allah be merciful to you. What does it matter?" He said, "O mother of the believers, show me the copy of your Qur'an." She said, "Why?" He said, "In order to compile and arrange the Qur'an according to it, for people recite it with its surahs not in proper order." Aisha said, "What does it matter which part of it you read first? Be informed that the first thing that was revealed thereof was a surah from Al-Mufassal, and in it was mentioned paradise and the fire." When the people embraced Islam, the verses regarding legal and illegal things were revealed. If the first thing to be revealed was, "Do not drink alcoholic drinks," people would have said, "We will never leave alcoholic drinks," and if there had been revealed, "Do not commit illegal sexual intercourse," they would have said, "We will never give up illegal sexual intercourse." While I was a young girl of playing age, the following verse was revealed in Mecca to Muhammad. Nay, but the hour is their appointed time for their full recompense, and the hour will be more grievous and more bitter. Qur'an 54 verse 46 Surah Al-Baqarah, the cow and Surat An-Nisa, the women were revealed while I was with him. Then Aisha took out the copy of the Qur'an for the man and dictated to him the verses of the surahs in their proper order. Number 516, narrated Abdullah bin Mas'ud, Surat Bani Israel, Al-Kahf, the cave, Baram, Taha, Al-Anbiya. The prophets are amongst my first earnings and my old property, and in fact they are my old property. Number 517, narrated Al-Bara. I learned, glorify the name of your Lord the Most High, Surat Al-Ala, Qur'an 87, before the Prophet came to Medina. Number 518, narrated Shakik, Abdullah said, I learnt a nazir which the Prophet used to recite in pairs in each rak'ah. Then Abdullah got up and Alqamah accompanied him to his house, and when Alqamah came out, we asked him about those surahs. He said, they are 20 surahs that start from the beginning of Al-Mufassal, according to the arrangement done by Ibn Mas'ud, and end with the surahs starting with Hamim, for example, Hamim the smoke, and about what they question one another. Qur'an 78 verse 1. Number 519, narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet was the most generous person, and he used to become more so generous particularly in the month of Ramadan because Gabriel used to meet him every night of the month of Ramadan till it elapsed. Allah's Apostle used to recite the Qur'an for him. When Gabriel met him, he used to become more generous than the fast wind in doing good. Number 520, narrated Abu Hurairah. Gabriel used to repeat the recitation of the Qur'an with the Prophet once a year, but he repeated it twice with him in the year he died. The Prophet used to stay in Itikaf for 10 days every year in the month of Ramadan. Number 521, narrated Mazriq. Abdullah bin Amr mentioned Abdullah bin Mas'ud and said, I shall ever love that man, for I heard the Prophet saying, learn the Qur'an from 4, Abdullah bin Mas'ud, Salim, Mu'ad and Ubay bin Ka'b. Number 522, narrated Shakik bin Salama. Once Abdullah bin Mas'ud delivered a sermon before us and said, "By Allah, I learned over 70 surahs direct from Allah's apostle. By Allah, the companions of the Prophet came to know that I am one of those who know Allah's book best of all of them, yet I am not the best of them." Shakik added, "I sat in his religious gathering and I did not hear anybody opposing him in his speech." Number 523, narrated Alqama, while we were in the city of Hims in Syria, Ibn Mas'ud recited Surat Yusuf. A man said to him, "It was not revealed in this way." Then Ibn Mas'ud said, "I recited it in this way before Allah's apostle and he confirmed my recitation by saying, 'Well done.'" Ibn Mas'ud detected the smell of wine from the man's mouth, so he said to him, "Aren't you ashamed of telling a lie about Allah's book and along with this you drink alcoholic liquors too?" Then he lashed them according to the law. Number 524, narrated Abdullah bin Mas'ud, "By Allah other than whom none has the right to be worshipped. There is no surah revealed in Allah's book but I know at what place it was revealed. And there is no verse revealed in Allah's book but I know about whom." Number 525, narrated Qatada, "I asked Anas bin Malik, who collected the Qur'an at the time of the Prophet. He replied, 4, all of whom were from the answer, Ubay bin Ka'b, Mu'ad bin Jabal, Zayd bin Thabit and Abu Zayd." Number 526, narrated Anas bin Malik, "When the Prophet died, none had collected the Qur'an but 4 persons. Abu ad-Darda, Mu'ad bin Jabal, Zayd bin Thabit and Abu Zayd. We were the inheritor of Abu Zayd as he had no offspring." Number 527, narrated Ibn Abbas, Umar said, "Ubay was the best of us in the recitation of the Qur'an, yet we leave some of what he recites." Ubay says, "I have taken it from the mouth of Allah's apostle and will not leave for anything whatever." But Allah said. Number 528, narrated Abu Sa'id al-Mu'alla, "While I was praying, the Prophet called me but I did not respond to his call. Later I said, 'O Allah's apostle, I was praying.' He said, 'Didn't Allah say, O you who believe, give your response to Allah by obeying him and to his apostle when he calls you?' Qur'an 8 verse 24. He then said, 'Shall I not teach you the most superior surah in the Qur'an?' He said, 'It is, praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds.' That is Surat al-Fatiha, which consists of 7 repeatedly recited verses and a magnificent Qur'an which was given to me." Number 529, narrated Abu Said al-Khudri, "While we were on one of our journeys, we dismounted at a place where a slave girl came and said, 'The chief of this tribe has been stung by a scorpion and our men are not present. Is there anybody among you who can treat him by reciting something?' Then one of our men went along with her, though we did not think that he knew any such treatment. But he treated the chief by reciting something, and the sick man recovered, whereupon he gave him 30 sheep and gave us milk to drink as a reward. When he returned, we asked our friend, 'Did you know how to treat with the recitation of something?' He said, 'No, but I treated him only with the recitation of the mother of the book, that is, Al-Fatiha.' We said, 'Do not say anything about it till we reach or ask the Prophet.' So when we reached Medina, we mentioned that to the Prophet in order to know whether the sheep which we had taken were lawful to take or not. The Prophet said, 'How did he come to know that Al-Fatiha could be used for treatment? Distribute your reward and assign for me 1 share thereof as well.'" Number 530, narrated Abu Mas'ud, "The Prophet said, 'If somebody recited the last 2 verses of Surat al-Baqarah at night, that will be sufficient for him.'" Narrated Abu Hurairah, "Allah's apostle ordered me to guard the zakat revenue of Ramadan. Then somebody came to me and started stealing of the foodstuff. I caught him and said, 'I will take you to Allah's apostle.'" Then Abu Hurairah described the whole narration and said, "That person said to me, 'Please don't take me to Allah's apostle, and I will tell you a few words by which Allah will benefit you. When you go to your bed, recite Ayat al-Kursi, Qur'an 2 verse 255, for then there will be a guard from Allah who will protect you all night long, and Satan will not be able to come near you till dawn." When the Prophet heard the story, he said to me, "He who came to you at night told you the truth, although he is a liar." and it was Satan. Number 531, narrated Al-Bara. A man was reciting Surat Al-Kahf and his horse was tied with 2 ropes beside him. A cloud came down and spread over that man, and it kept on coming closer and closer to until his horse started jumping as if afraid of something. When it was morning, the man came to the Prophet, and told him of that experience. The Prophet said, that was a sakina, tranquility which descended because of the recitation of the Qur'an. Number 532, narrated Aslam, Allah's apostle was traveling on one of his journeys, and Umar bin al-Khattab was traveling along with him at night. Umar asked him about something, but Allah's apostle did not answer him. He asked again, but he did not answer. He asked for the 3rd time, but he did not answer. On that, Umar said to himself, may your mother lose you. You have asked Allah's apostle 3 times, but he did not answer at all. Umar said, so I made my camel go fast till I was ahead of the people, and I was afraid that something might be revealed about me. After a little while I heard a call maker calling me. I said, I was afraid that some Quranic verse might be revealed about me. So I went to Allah's apostle and greeted him. He said, tonight there has been revealed to me a surah which is dearer to me than that on which the sun shines, that is the world. Then he recited, verily, we have given you, O Muhammad, a manifest victory. Surat Al-Fath. No. Qur'an 48 verse 1. Number 533, narrated Abu Said al-Khudri, a man heard another man reciting Surat Al-Ikhlas, say he is Allah, the One. Qur'an 112 verse 1 repeatedly. The next morning he came to Allah's apostle and informed him about it as if he thought that it was not enough to recite. On that Allah's apostle said, by him in whose hand my life is, this surah is equal to 1/3 of the Qur'an. Narrated Abu Said al-Khudri, my brother, Qatada bin Nu'man said, a man performed the night prayer late at night in the lifetime of the Prophet and he read, say, he is Allah, the One, Qur'an 112 verse 1, and read nothing besides that. The next morning a man went to the Prophet, and told him about that. The Prophet replied the same as in Hadith 532 above. Number 534, narrated Abu Said al-Khudri, the Prophet said to his companions, is it difficult for any of you to recite 1/3 of the Qur'an in one night? The suggestion was difficult for them, so they said, who among us has the power to do so, O Allah's apostle? Allah's apostle replied, Allah the One, the self-sufficient master whom all creatures need. Surat Al-Ikhlas Qur'an 112 verse 1 to the end is equal to 1/3 of the Qur'an. Number 535, narrated Aisha, whenever Allah's apostle became sick, he would recite Mu'awwidhat Surat Al-Falaq and Surat An-Nas and then blow his breath over his body. When he became seriously ill, I used to recite these 2 surahs and rub his hands over his body hoping for its blessings. Number 536, narrated Aisha, whenever thy Prophet went to bed every night, he used to cup his hands together and blow over it after reciting Surat Al-Ikhlas, Surat Al-Falaq and Surat An-Nas, and then rub his hands over whatever parts of his body he was able to rub, starting with his head, face and front of his body. He used to do that 3 times. Number 536t, narrated Uzayd bin Udair, that while he was reciting Surat Al-Baqarah the cow at night, and his horse was tied beside him, the horse was suddenly startled and troubled. When he stopped reciting, the horse became quiet, and when he started again, the horse was startled again. Then he stopped reciting and the horse became quiet too. He started reciting again and the horse was startled and troubled once again. Then he stopped reciting and his son, Yahya, was beside the horse. He was afraid that the horse might trample on him. When he took the boy away and looked towards the sky, he could not see it. The next morning he informed the Prophet, who said, recite, O Ibn Udair. Recite, O Ibn Udair. Ibn Udair replied, O Allah's apostle, my son, Yahya was near the horse and I was afraid that it might trample on him, so I looked towards the sky, and went to him. When I looked at the sky, I saw something like a cloud containing what looked like lamps, so I went out in order not to see it. The Prophet said, "Do you know what that was?" Ibn Udair replied, "No." The Prophet said, "Those were angels who came near to you for your voice, and if you had kept on reciting till dawn, it would have remained there till morning, when people would have seen it as it would not have disappeared." Number 537, narrated Abdul Aziz bin Rafa'i, Shaddad bin Makil and I entered upon Ibn Abbas. Shaddad bin Makil asked him, "Did the Prophet leave anything besides the Qur'an?" He replied, "He did not leave anything except what is between the two bindings of the Qur'an." Then we visited Muhammad bin al-Hanafiya and asked him the same question. He replied, "The Prophet did not leave except what is between the bindings of the Qur'an." Number 538, narrated Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, the Prophet said, "The example of him, a believer who recites the Qur'an, is like that of a citron which tastes good and smells good. And a believer who does not recite the Qur'an is like a date which is good in taste but has no smell. And the example of a dissolute wicked person who recites the Qur'an is like the rayhana, that is sweet basil, which smells good but tastes bitter. And the example of a dissolute wicked person who does not recite the Qur'an is like the colocynth, which tastes bitter and has no smell." Number 539, narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet said, "Your life in comparison to the lifetime of the past nations is like the period between the time of Asr prayer and sunset. Your example and the example of the Jews and Christians is that of a person who employed laborers and said to them, 'Who will work for me till the middle of the day for 1 kirat, a special weight?' The Jews did. He then said, 'Who will work for me from the middle of the day till the Asr prayer for 1 kirat each?' The Christians worked accordingly. Then you Muslims are working from the bar prayer till the Maghrib prayer for 2 kirats each." They, the Jews and the Christians, says, "We did more labor but took less wages." He, Allah said, "Have I wronged you in your rights?" They replied, "No." Then he said, "This is my blessing which I give to whom I wish." Number 540, narrated Talha, I asked Abdullah bin Abi Awfa, "Did the Prophet make a will to appoint his successor or bequeath wealth?" He replied, "No." I said, "How is it prescribed then for the people to make wills, and they are ordered to do so while the Prophet did not make any will?" He said, "He made a will wherein he recommended Allah's book." Number 541, narrated Abu Hurairah. Allah's Apostle said, "Allah does not listen to a prophet as he listens to a prophet who recites the Qur'an in a pleasant tone." The companion of the sub-narrator Abu Salama said, "It means, reciting it aloud." Number 542, narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet I said, "Allah does not listen to a prophet as he listens to a prophet who recites the Qur'an in a loud and pleasant tone." Sufyan said, "The saying means a prophet who regards the Qur'an as something that makes high." Number 543, narrated Abdullah bin Umar, Allah's Apostle said, "Not to wish to be the like except of 2 men. A man whom Allah has given the knowledge of the book and he recites it during the hours of the night, and a man whom Allah has given wealth, and he spends it in charity during the night and the hours of the day." Number 544, narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Apostle I said, "Not to wish to be the like of except 2 men, a man whom Allah has taught the Qur'an and he recites it during the hours of the night and during the hours of the day, and his neighbor listens to him and says, 'I wish I had been given what has been given to so and so, so that I might do what he does.' And a man whom Allah has given wealth and he spends it on what is just and right, whereupon another man may say, 'I wish I had been given what so and so has been given, for then I would do what he does.'" Number 545, narrated Uthman, the Prophet said, "The best among you Muslims are those who learn the Qur'an and teach it." Number 546, narrated Uthman bin Affan, the Prophet said, "The most superior among you Muslims are those who learn the Qur'an and teach it." Number 547, narrated Sahih bin Sa'd, a lady came to the Prophet and declared that she had decided to offer herself to Allah and His Apostle. The Prophet said, "I am not in need of women." A man said to the Prophet, "Please marry her to me." The Prophet said to him, "Give her a garment." The man said, "I cannot afford it." The Prophet said, "Give her anything, even if it were an iron ring." The man apologized again. The Prophet then asked him, "What do you know by heart of the Qur'an?" He replied, "I know such and such portion of the Qur'an by heart." The Prophet said, "Then I marry her to you for that much of the Qur'an which you know by heart." Number 548, narrated Sahih bin Sa'd, a lady came to Allah's Apostle and said, "O Allah's Apostle, I have come to you to offer myself to you." He raised his eyes and looked at her and then lowered his head. When the lady saw that he did not make any decision, she sat down. On that, a man from his companions got up and said, "O Allah's Apostle, if you are not in need of this woman, then marry her to me." Allah's Apostle said, "Do you have anything to offer her?" He replied, "No, by Allah, O Allah's Apostle." The Prophet said to him, "Go to your family and see if you can find something." The man went and returned, saying, "No, by Allah, O Allah's Apostle, I have not found anything." The Prophet said, "Try to find something, even if it is an iron ring." He went again and returned, saying, "No, by Allah, O Allah's Apostle, not even an iron ring, but I have this waist sheet of mine." The man had no upper garment, so he intended to give her half his waist sheet. So Allah's Apostle said, "What would she do with your waist sheet? If you wear it, she will have nothing of it over her body, and if she wears it, you will have nothing over your body." So that man sat for a long period and then got up, and Allah's Apostle saw him going away, so he ordered somebody to call him. When he came, the Prophet asked him, "How much of the Qur'an do you know?" He replied, "I know such surat and such surat and such surat," and went on counting it. The Prophet asked him, "Can you recite it by heart?" He replied, "Yes." The Prophet said, "Go, I have married this lady to you for the amount of the Qur'an you know by heart." Number 549, narrated Ibn Umar, Allah's Apostle said, "The example of the person who knows the Qur'an by heart is like the owner of tied camels. If he keeps them tied, he will control them, but if he releases them, they will run away." Number 550, narrated Abdullah, the Prophet said, "It is a bad thing that some of you say, 'I have forgotten such and such verse of the Qur'an,' for indeed, he has been caused by Allah to forget it. So you must keep on reciting the Qur'an because it escapes from the hearts of men faster than camel do." Number 552, narrated Abu Musa, the Prophet said, "Keep on reciting the Qur'an, for, by him in whose hand my life is, Qur'an runs away is forgotten faster than camels that are released from their tying ropes." Number 553, narrated Abdullah bin Mufal, "I saw Allah's Apostle reciting Surat al-Fath on a she-camel on the day of the conquest of Mecca." Number 554, narrated Said bin Jubair, "Those surahs which you people call the Mufassal, are the Mukam." And Ibn Abbas said, "Allah's Apostle died when I was a boy of 10 years, and I had learnt the Mukam of the Qur'an." Number 555, narrated Said bin Jubair, Ibn Abbas said, "I have learnt all the Mukam surahs during the lifetime of Allah's Apostle." I said to him, "What is meant by the Mukam?" He replied, "The Mufassal." Number 556, narrated Aisha, the Prophet heard a man reciting the Qur'an in the mosque and said, "May Allah bestow His mercy on him, as he has reminded me of such and such verses of such a surah." Number 558, narrated Aisha, Allah's Apostle heard a man reciting the Qur'an at night, and said, "May Allah bestow His mercy on him, as he has reminded me of such and such verses of such and such surahs, which I was caused to forget." Number 559, narrated Abdullah, the Prophet said, "Why does anyone of the people say, 'I have forgotten such and such verses of the Qur'an'? He, in fact, is caused by Allah to forget." Number 560, narrated Abu Mas'ud al-Ansari, the Prophet said, "If one recites the last 2 verses of Surat al-Baqarah at night, it is sufficient for him for that night." Number 561, narrated Umar bin Khattab, "I heard Hisham bin Hakim bin Azam reciting Surat al-Furqan during the lifetime of Allah's Apostle, and I listened to his recitation and noticed that he recited it in several ways which Allah's Apostle had not taught me. So I was on the point of attacking him in the prayer, but I waited till he finished his prayer, and then I seized him by the collar and said, "Who taught you the surah which I have heard you reciting?" He replied, "Allah's Apostle taught it to me." I said, "You are telling a lie." "By Allah, Allah's Apostle taught me in a different way this very surah which I have heard you reciting." So I took him, leading him to Allah's Apostle, and said, "O Allah's Apostle, I heard this person reciting Surat al-Furqan in a way that you did not teach me, and you have taught me Surat al-Furqan." The Prophet said, "O Hisham, recite." So he recited in the same way as I heard him recite it before. On that Allah's Apostle said, "It was revealed to be recited in this way." Then Allah's Apostle said, "Recite, O Umar." So I recited it as he had taught me. Allah's Apostle then said, "It was revealed to be recited in this way." Allah's Apostle added, "The Qur'an has been revealed to be recited in several different ways, so recite of it that which is easier for you." Number 562, narrated Aisha, the Prophet heard a reciter reciting the Qur'an in the mosque at night. The Prophet said, "May Allah bestow His mercy on him, as he has reminded me of such and such verses of such and such surahs, which I missed." Number 563, narrated Abu Wa'il, we went to Abdullah in the morning and a man said, "Yesterday I recited all the Mufassal surahs." On that Abdullah said, "That is very quick, and we have the Prophet's recitation, and I remember very well the recitation of those surahs which the Prophet used to recite, and they were 18 surahs from the Mufassal, and 2 surahs from the surahs that start with Hamim." Number 564, narrated Ibn Abbas, regarding his Allah's statement, "Move not your tongue concerning the Qur'an to make haste therewith." Qur'an 75 verse 16. And whenever Gabriel descended to Allah's Apostle with the divine inspiration, Allah's Apostle used to move his tongue and lips, and that used to be hard for him, and one could easily recognize that he was being inspired divinely. So Allah revealed the verse which occurs in the surah starting with, "I do swear by the day of resurrection." Qur'an 75 verse 1, that is, "Move not your tongue concerning the Qur'an to make haste then with." It is for us to collect it in your mind, O Muhammad, and give you the ability to recite it by heart. Qur'an 75 verse 16 to 17, which means, it is for us to collect it in your mind and give you the ability to recite it by heart. And when we have recited it to you, O Muhammad, through Gabriel, then follow you its recital. Qur'an 75 verse 18 means, when we reveal it, the Qur'an, to you, listen to it. For then it is for us to explain it and make it clear to you. Qur'an 75 verse 19, that is, it is up to us to explain it through your tongue. So, when Gabriel came to him, Allah's Apostle would listen to him attentively, and as soon as Gabriel left, he would recite the revelations, as Allah had promised him. Number 565, narrated Qatada, I asked Anas bin Malik about the recitation of the Prophet. He said, he used to prolong certain sounds very much. Number 566, narrated Qatada, Anas was asked, how was the recitation of the Qur'an of the Prophet? He replied, it was characterized by the prolongation of certain sounds. He then recited, in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, prolonging the pronunciation of in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, and the most merciful. Number 567, narrated Abdullah bin Mufal, I saw the Prophet reciting Qur'an while he was riding on a she-camel or camel which was moving, carrying him. He was reciting Surat Fath or part of Surat Fath very softly and in an attractive vibrating tone. Number 568, narrated Abu Musa, that the Prophet said to him, O Abu Musa, you have been given one of the musical wind instruments of the family of David. Number 569, narrated Abdullah, that the Prophet said to him, recite the Qur'an to me. Abdullah said, shall I recite the Qur'an to you while it has been revealed to you? He said, I like to hear it from others. Number 570, narrated Abdullah bin Mas'ud, the Prophet said to me, recite the Qur'an to me. I said, "O Allah's Apostle, shall I recite the Qur'an to you while it has been revealed to you?" He said, "Yes." So I recited Surat An-Nisa the women, but when I recited the verse, "How will it be then when we bring from each nation a witness and we bring you, O Muhammad, as a witness against these people?" Qur'an 4 verse 41. He said, "Enough for the present." I looked at him and behold, his eyes were overflowing with tears. Number 571, narrated Sufyan ibn Shibruma said, "I wanted to see how much of the Qur'an can be enough to recite in prayer, and I could not find a surah containing less than 3 verses, therefore I said to myself, one ought not to recite less than 3 Quranic verses in prayer." Narrated Abu Mas'ud, the Prophet said, "If somebody recites the last 2 verses of Surat al-Baqarah at night, it will be sufficient for him." Number 572, narrated Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As, "My father got me married to a lady of a noble family, and often used to ask my wife about me, and she used to reply, 'What a wonderful man he is. He never comes to my bed, nor has he approached me since he married me.' When this state continued for a long period, my father told the story to the Prophet, who said to my father, 'Let me meet him.' Then I met him and he asked me, 'How do you fast?' I replied, 'I fast daily.' He asked, 'How long does it take you to finish the recitation of the whole Qur'an?' I replied, 'I finish it every night.' On that he said, 'Fast for 3 days every month and recite the Qur'an and finish it in 1 month.' I said, 'But I have power to do more than that.' He said, 'Then fast for 3 days per week.' I said, 'I have the power to do more than that.' He said, 'Therefore, fast the most superior type of fasting, that is, the fasting of Prophet David, who used to fast every alternate day, and finish the recitation of the whole Qur'an in 7 days.' I wish I had accepted the permission of Allah's Apostle, as I have become a weak old man." It is said that Abdullah used to recite 1/7 of the Qur'an during the daytime to some of his family members, for he used to check his memorization of what he would recite at night during the daytime so that it would be easier for him to read at night. And whenever he wanted to gain some strength, he used to give up fasting for some days and count those days to fast for a similar period, for he disliked to leave those things which he used to do during the lifetime of the Prophet. Number 573, narrated Abdullah bin Amr, "The Prophet asked me, 'How long does it take you to finish the recitation of the whole Qur'an?' Number 574, narrated Abdullah bin Amr, "Allah's Apostle said to me, 'Recite the whole Qur'an in 1 month's time.' I said, 'But I have power to do more than that.' Allah's Apostle said, 'Then finish the recitation of the Qur'an in 7 days, and do not finish it in less than this period.' Number 575, narrated Abdullah bin Mas'ud, "Allah's Apostle said to me, 'Recite the Qur'an to me.' I said, 'Shall I recite it to you while it has been revealed to you?' He said, 'I like to hear it from another person.' So I recited Surat An-Nisa, the women, till I reached the verse, 'How will it be then when we bring from each nation a witness, and we bring you, O Muhammad, as a witness against these people?' Qur'an 4 verse 41. Then he said to me, 'Stop.' Thereupon I saw his eyes overflowing with tears. Number 576, narrated Abdullah bin Mas'ud, "The Prophet said to me, 'Recite Qur'an to me.' I said to him, 'Shall I recite it to you while it has been revealed to you?' He said, 'I like to hear it from another person.'" Number 577, narrated Ali, "I heard the Prophet saying, 'In the last days of the world there will appear young people with foolish thoughts and ideas. They will give good talks, but they will go out of Islam as an arrow goes out of its game, their faith will not exceed their throats. So, wherever you find them, kill them, for there will be a reward for their killers on the day of resurrection.'" Number 578, narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, "I heard Allah's Apostle saying, 'There will appear some people among you whose prayer will make you look down upon yours, and whose fasting will make you look down upon yours, but they will recite the Qur'an which will not exceed their throats, they will not act on it, and they will go out of Islam as an arrow goes out through the game, whereupon the archer would examine the arrowhead but see nothing, and look at the unfeathered arrow but see nothing, and look at the arrow feathers. but see nothing, and finally he suspects to find something in the lower part of the arrow. Number 579, narrated Abu Musa, the Prophet said, the example of a believer who recites the Qur'an and acts on it, like a citron which tastes nice and smells nice. And the example of a believer who does not recite the Qur'an but acts on it, is like a date which tastes good but has no smell. And the example of a hypocrite who recites the Qur'an is like a rayhan, a sweet basil which smells good but tastes bitter. And the example of a hypocrite who does not recite the Qur'an is like a colocynth which tastes bitter and has a bad smell. Number 580, narrated Abdullah, the Prophet said, recite and study the Qur'an as long as you agree about its interpretation, but if you have any difference of opinion as regards to its interpretation and meaning, then you should stop reciting it for the time being. Number 581, narrated Jundub, the Prophet said, recite and study the Qur'an as long as you agree about its interpretation, but when you have any difference of opinion as regards its interpretation and meaning, then you should stop reciting it for the time being. Number 582, narrated Abdullah, that he heard a man reciting a Quranic verse which he had heard the Prophet reciting in a different way. So he took that man to the Prophet and told him the story. The Prophet said, both of you are reciting in a correct way, so carry on reciting. The Prophet further added, the nations which were before you were destroyed by Allah because they differed.